This is why we never mess with royal guards. These guards are known for not moving a muscle, even when tourists meddle with them. Don't let that fool you into believing they're simply lazy or slow. In truth, the Queen's Guards are among the world's most elite, highly trained, and secretive troops. Sure, they appear to be palace fixtures, but pushing them too far or interfering with their duties, and you'll quickly realize why that was a mistake. Let's get right into it.
Hey, is that the guy who was at the other where we were?
The Royal Bodyguards. The Royal Guard is an ancient organization of England's most dependable, loyal, and well-trained soldiers who have pledged to protect the British monarch at all costs. Elizabeth II, the longest-reigning monarch in English history with a reign of nearly 62 years, has been the focus of all the Guard's efforts since 1952, with more than 10 generations of active-duty Guardsmen. The Royal Guards have a history that dates back to at least 1660. Unlike today, when the royal family does not hold power, the British monarch was the most influential person in England. One of the most powerful in the world, having absolute power, came with the need for absolute security. During war and uprising, the Royal Guard was regarded as the most dangerous soldiers in the land, making assassination attempts on the king or queen both uncommon and insanely risky for any would-be assassin. Throughout history, the Guards did more than merely stand at attention. In reality, the Royal Guard is directly responsible for some of England's most significant military victories, having defeated some of Europe's most powerful armies. Some don't believe these soldiers have softened because they've moved from the battlefield to Buckingham. The Queen's Guard's standards have only become stricter throughout time, and only the finest performing officers and military people are ever considered for the prestigious job. Only a few people in history have survived the Queen's Guard. Although there have been several instances where people have attempted to get past the Queen's Guard, none come close to the film of the guy who wanted to scale Buckingham Palace back in 2012. Even though the guards advised him not to do so, the man couldn't care less. So the guards did what they thought was best. They pointed their loaded SA-80 rifles at him and told him to come down calmly. The guy had no choice but to comply. Even while some are taught to believe that the guards are just there for tradition's sake, they carry loaded firearms and are trained to shoot in the event of an intrusion.
Ready? He's a good sport.
All right.
Maybe we can see his. All right.
See his? Here, come
yeah.
closer. This has to be really entertaining for him, I hope.
Hopefully. Yes! Oh my god, I can't believe you did it.
You're awesome. I love you.
They will be prisoned when they are caught smiling. Anyone who has heard of the Royal Guard is aware they remain still, almost like statues, regardless of their surroundings. It can be entertaining for tourists attempting to get their attention for a vacation film, but the level of discipline required by the guards is practically superhuman. The guards cannot react or reply in any way to what bystanders and hecklers do or say to them unless they are physically touched or otherwise brutally threatened, in which case they leave crowds stunned with their booming yells of the sole phrase they are authorized to speak on duty. The guardsman's holy pledge is exceptionally stringent and has terrible ramifications if broken. If a guard even grins, let alone laughs while on duty, they will not only be fired, but will also be transported to a military prison. That's correct. Any tourist who tries to make a guard laugh, which according to tourism statistics counts in the millions each year, unintentionally risks sending that guardsman to prison. It's no surprise they take their job so seriously. But if somebody can make a security guard laugh, they should surely pursue a career as a comedian. They have weapons. Because of the enormous weapon they're carrying with a bayonet on end, most people know better than to meddle with the Queen's Guard. They can undoubtedly hurt someone with that pistol, but it isn't even loaded most of the time. At least, that's what ex-Guard members claim. It's not rare for them to not be loaded, though they can be if there's a serious threat of an assault at the time. In most cases, police officers defuse situations rather than the guards themselves, but just because their guards aren't loaded doesn't mean you should try to mess with the Queen's Guard. Just keep in mind that they have bayonets on the ends of their rifles, and those things may do some serious harm. It's also worth noting that if the guns are loaded, they can also badly hurt you. They don't merely use an old-school Lee Enfield while on the job. Those firearms are reserved for ceremonial purposes. Instead, they frequently have SA-80s, which are badass assault rifles. Never mess with the guards. Knowing that these aren't just show soldiers, but the most decorated and battle-hardened soldiers the United Kingdom has to offer, and that even the slightest transgression, such as laughing, will land them in a prison cell. It should be pretty obvious that messing with the Royal Guard is a one-way ticket to the emergency room. It is because, while guards are supposed to remain still and smile-free throughout their posts, they wouldn't be much of a guard if they let themselves be assaulted at random. Sure, they're used to crowds of the most tourists any city has to offer, continuously photographing the Royal Guards and attempting to elicit their elusive, unlawful smiles. Still, now and then, someone will go too far and believe they can get away with touching them. As trained troops, you should never contemplate this, since, as some unfortunate tourists have discovered, a guard's job is to take down anyone who touches them with explosive force. While this is a fascinating spectacle to behold, after all, you won't see the guards move otherwise. Being on the receiving end of a Royal Guardsman's attack is a definite way to land in the hospital. Fortunately, England has socialized healthcare, so it won't cost you anything, but trust me, that'll be the least of your worries if you're stupid enough to touch a Royal Guard.
Get off the fence!
The Royal Guard is certainly the most serious job in England, but maybe even worldwide. As a result, there is no margin for mistaking among the guards, which means that a guard will never leave his station under any circumstances. And yes, this includes restroom breaks. If a guard wants to use the restroom, they will hold it for the duration of their shift. Fortunately, a guard shift typically consists of 2 hours of standing and 4 hours of patrol and other responsibilities, so they aren't breaking world records for holding it. Regardless, any breach of duty, whether it's a bathroom break, a laugh, or even taking a step away from your post, is grounds for imprisonment. So, if you mess with a guard enough to get them to move, be prepared for the absolute worst fury an elite soldier can dish out, because they're going to jail just for moving, so they'll be doing a lot more to whoever costs them their freedom. Be sure to check out your favorite Royal Guard video here.